As you can see, we are in beautiful Kyoto! Yay! I promise it's Kyoto, even with this tragic view outside our hotel window. We didn't win the lottery with that one. With that being said, I am in Kyoto for what feels like the 100th time, but this is a very special trip because I am here with my adorable little sister who came all the way from Texas to spend some time with me. So this is kind of a unique Kyoto trip because usually when I come here, you know, I'm very cool. I don't do the typical touristy things because, you know, I've been here a bunch. But this time I am. So I planned this trip where we're going to hit a lot of the highlights, the must-dos of Kyoto, that first time people who come to Kyoto have to see. But I'm also sprinkling in a little bit of my expertise and some of my recommendations along the way. So join me for what I think is a pretty perfect 3-day itinerary for your first time in Kyoto. So like most trips to Kyoto, ours started on a bullet train, easily the most recommended way to get to Kyoto. Kyoto doesn't even have its own airport. So unless you are willing to take an 8-hour bus ride, which is highly unrecommended, Shinkansen is pretty much your best way to do it. We actually had a really special Shinkansen trip ride because it was snowing on our way there out of Tokyo. Unfortunately, it was not snowing in Kyoto. As you can see, it was merely raining, but the rain does have some perks, which I will get into. Luckily today we are blessed with the most perfect weather, all day rain. It was actually snowing when we left Tokyo. And you might think that's not a good thing, but actually it means there's way less people, which is a good thing for our stop number 1. Okay, so stop 1, Higashiyama, literally meaning East Mountains. This is the famous Gion District. They have the famous pagoda you've seen in like every pamphlet. It's rainy, so there's way less people, and this is our first stop. This is a good little half-day trip. There's a lot of cool stores here. You can't go inside the pagoda, unfortunately, unlike Bellsprout Tower from Pokemon. That would be cool, but alas. And after this, we're gonna go up to Kiyomizu Dera, one of the most famous temples, and you just have to walk up this hill for like 20 minutes straight, because, you know, it's in the mountains. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna hope it's way less crowded than the last time I went, because it's usually pretty crowded. Let's go. I pretty much always pair Kiyomizu Dera Temple and Higashiyama because Higashiyama is literally on the path up to Kiyomizu Dera. You pretty much walk right through it. But Higashiyama District is worth exploring on its own. There are a couple cute shops I would like to recommend. The first is Arashiyama Coffee. It is a really well-known famous coffee brand in Kyoto that has excellent first-class coffee, although we are going to a different location later on in this itinerary. And then also this lovely pottery shop, which I have gone to before. They let you hand make the pottery, they walk you through it, it's really easy, and then you can ship the pottery anywhere in the world, including overseas. I have a really cute coffee mug of it myself. Okay, so here we are. This is the outside of Kiyomizu Dera Temple. After climbing up a hill for 20 minutes, we only have about, 10 more minutes of flight upstairs. It is a couple hundred yen to get in, and it closes at 6 p.m., so be careful. It's 5 p.m. right now, so we have to hurry. Hopefully it means there's even less people plus the rain, so we shall see. Let's go. Okay, so we're in. This is the temple. This is the emptiest I've ever seen it. Usually the experience here is basically like, excuse me as you try to like shuffle through, but this is totally empty. So I say if you can come in the rain, just bring yourself a little umbrella and do it. It's totally worth it. It's mostly under like rooftops anyway, so you're not gonna get rained on once you're here. Man, I know I've already said it, but I cannot tell you guys how weird it is to be at this temple with almost no one there. If you've been here before, you know. But this is spectacular. I can almost see like the mystical element of it that made it so popular in the first place. Definitely, honestly, if you can come at an off time, you have to come here for sure. So this is the great porch. This is what you see in all the pictures, and I have never seen it this empty. Like, I could do cartwheels here if I wouldn't like slip and fall and hurt myself. This is insane. Usually it's packed. Okay. This is to purify yourself. You're supposed to like dump the water over your hands, and I'm gonna make this sacrifice even though it's very cold, just for y'all's enjoyment. You scoop. Yeah, get it. Purified.
Wimp.
Let's see you do it.
Okay.
Little sister called me a wimp, so I challenged her to do it, so let's see.
Head. Oh my gosh. Let's see
Redness check.
Purified.
Purified. Way to be pure. Also, don't miss at the bottom of the temple is this famous 3-stream drinking fountain. Each of the 3 streams means something different. One is long life, one is luck and love, and the other is like you get good grades in school. Honestly, they don't seem super balanced, but depending on which stream you drink from, you'll get good fortune. I don't know which stream this was. I just chose one at random, so I'll let you know this upcoming year what I got. That was easily the nicest trip I've ever had to Kiyomizu Dera Temple. Come in the rain. Don't come during like fall leaves. The number of people, makes the experience almost not worth it. But this was so, so nice. So after the temple, we made our way back down through the Higashiyama District, which is beautiful at night. They light up all these old-fashioned lanterns, and by that I mean like modern-day electricity, but they look vaguely lanternish. The atmosphere is really, really nice. And we made our way to one of my favorite bars in the Higashiyama District, which is called Bar K36. And it's a little tricky to get there. You have to go through the Seiryu Hotel, and you actually have to go in through the lobby, through the courtyard, down some hallways, and upstairs in order to get to the bar. But it is well worth it to go. Unfortunately for us, as I will soon explain, it was raining, so we couldn't use the outdoor patio. Okay, so now we're at one of my favorite bars, also in Higashiyama, which is Bar K36, but unfortunately with the rain, the outdoor seating, which they're famous for, it's not open. So we've instead moved to the inside seating. So as you can see here, I ordered a margarita, but when I was ordering my margarita in Japanese to the Japanese waiter, I ordered a margarita, which is a margarita in Japanese, but they thought I meant a margarita pizza, so they brought me out an entire extra pizza that was really expensive, by the way. Here's my shame as I tried to explain it to them. Very embarrassing. Pro tip, be careful if you order a margarita. Specify if you want a pizza or a cocktail. They had fancy bathrooms too. It's fancy bathroom when the toilet opens up to greet you. Anyhow, after leaving the bar in my shame here, we went to dinner in the absolutely beautiful Pontacho district. This is the main nightlife district of Kyoto, and it is one of the top things you have to check out in Kyoto. If you do nothing else, come to Pontacho here for dinner, whatever night you're in here. I took my little sister to one of my favorite restaurants, which is an okonomiyaki restaurant called Yasube. It's delicious, it's great, it's right in the main alley, right in downtown, so you're really close to the river and all the beautiful old buildings. Fair warning with this place though, it can have a bit of a line and there's no reservations, so a lot of the times you do have to wait and stand outside in the line, but here it is, Yasube. Our wait was not that bad. I think it only took us about 20 minutes to get through. So okonomiyaki is a traditional Japanese savory pancake here. They make it for you at this place, which is nice because some places have you make the okonomiyaki yourself, and the directions can be difficult to read if you're not well versed in kanji. But here all we had to do was put on the sauce, the okonomiyaki sauce, and the mayonnaise on top and enjoy. This is honestly some of the best okonomiyaki I've had. My favorite is the mochi cheese, by the way. You can kind of pick what fillings and toppings go in it. Look at my beautiful mayonnaise layering skills. That is years of practice. Here's my sister. Oh, she's pretty good. That was pretty good for a first attempt. Anyways, it was a really good dinner and I highly recommend okonomiyaki. Okay, we just had dinner. It was really good. The line, it took us probably 20 minutes to get there, so it's not that bad. That place usually does have a long line, so be prepared for that if you want to wait and have it. But I'm tired and I don't want to film anymore. I want to go to bed, so I'm gonna go to bed. See you tomorrow. Luckily for us, it was only about a 10-minute walk back to our hotel because I so cleverly had to stay close to the city center. It's an area called Shijo, which is where I recommend you stay. Not only is it the main nightlife area, it is also home to the famous Pontacho dining alley, which I think I have dinners most nights when I'm in Kyoto in Pontacho. So it's a great convenient location because it being the main nightlife area, you usually end up pretty close to your hotel if you stay next to it at the end of the night. Anyways, we are here for the next morning. We have these beautiful gray, gloomy skies, and you get to see this is Shijo in its full glory here. Hello, good morning. The river is very loud. It is the next day, and we have beautiful gray skies as always. Today we are going to Arashiyama, which is in the northeast region of Kyoto, and this used to be home to the imperial family who used to live here 1,000 years ago when this used to be the capital of Japan. So it's a beautiful vacation destination and you can spend a whole day there. It's also home to the very famous bamboo grove, but I know some other things to do there as well. We're waiting for the bus. That's the easiest way to get there. It's about an hour bus ride outside from the center of the city, which we're at now. So I'll see you on bus ride later. So buses are very common in Kyoto and you're probably going to need to take one because sometimes they're the only way to get to a lot of the main tourist attractions, Arashiyama being one of them. Okay, so we have arrived. We've traded one river for another. And this is the first stop. It's a really famous coffee shop. They have locations all over. They had one in Higashiyama too. And there's always a bit of a line, but the coffee is really good, really high quality, and the view can't be beat. So this is the other location I was talking about earlier for the Arabica coffee shop. My favorite one too. It has the prettiest view. This also has a line. You can see the line kind of here. I think it also took us about 20 or 30 minutes to get through it, depending on how many people are there. You don't eat in the coffee. You need to take the coffee to go, but don't worry, there's a lot of seating options right along the river, right by it. So we got our coffee and now we're just chilling, sitting by the river. We got the Kyoto latte. I don't know what makes it a Kyoto latte versus a normal one, but it's really tasty. The line was probably about 15 minutes. I suggest passing the time in line by talking about octopus. They're very interesting creatures. I highly recommend taking a boat ride down the river. It's a really fun thing to do, and for about $10 a person, you get a 30-minute boat ride, and they actually just push the boat along the whole time with these bamboo rods. Really fun. Now for lunch, we are eating at Kamehameha, which is really easy to remember, especially if you're familiar with Goku's Kamehameha. Easy way to remember the name, slightly different but very similar. It's a cozy little mom-pop shop. So even though we were sitting kind of in this patio area, they had a lot of heating and it was very insulated. So we weren't cold at all once we were inside. And under the tables, they had heaters too. Not a problem if you come in summer, of course. They have a lot of udon. So I got my udon here, which was good. My sister got oyakudon, which is chicken and egg, like a chicken and egg rice bowl. They also give you free tea. A lot of these places give you tea instead of water, and this was one of those places. So hot tea on a cold day as we watched the boats flow down the river was perfect. So here we are, the famous bamboo grove. This is probably the famous thing to do in Arashiyama. It's literally just a pathway. There's no money or fee to enter it at all. And it's not that crowded right now. This is not that crowded, so here we go. So even though the bamboo forest is really famous, it's probably good to taper your expectations a little bit. It's cool, but it's pretty small. You can fit the whole thing in basically a basketball court. You kind of just quickly walk through it. And usually it's pretty darn crowded. Like I said, this time it wasn't that crowded at all. But it's a cool thing. A little overhyped if you ask me though. Okay, we finished walking through the groves. It took about 25 to 30 seconds. They're really not that long. You come in and you leave pretty quickly. However, the really cool part about the bamboo groves is that they're on the way to a lot of really, really neat temples. So usually what I do is I walk through the bamboo groves and then continue walking out into kind of even the countryside. It gets domestic really quickly for being in such a touristy place originally. But if you keep walking for about 10 or 15 minutes, we get to reach one of my favorite shrines in all of Kyoto. Okay, so next we've actually come to one of my favorite temples in Kyoto. I've only come here once before 6 years ago, but this is Giojo Temple, also known as the moss temple. So this temple is like covered in moss. This one is my favorite. It's also like the furthest away from Arashiyama. It was about a 30-minute walk from the bamboo grove to get here, but the walk's really beautiful. You go through like a residential area, so it's very peaceful, very nice. If you're up for a little walk, I definitely recommend this temple, the moss temple. Even though this is advertised as a temple, it's much more famous for its grounds. These grounds, the courtyard, is covered in moss, as the name, that I gave it, the moss temple, alludes to. Not the official name, by the way. The lady told us to be careful of monkeys, and we've already seen a couple. So fun fact about moss, it's a primordial plant, which means it dates back to about 450 million years ago. So like even before the dinosaurs, the world was covered in moss in some places. As you can see, like the trees are all barren and dead because it's winter, but the moss is still bright green, so it lives at all times of the year. It was really cool to see how a temple known for its moss and its greenery looked in the winter. I thought it looked really cool. Although if you can go in the summer, that is still highly recommended because it looks otherworldly. It looks straight out of a Ghibli movie. Anyways, another big thing to do in Arashiyama is to cross the famous bridge here, which we did in order to get to the very first bus stop on the route, because it is time to take the bus back into town. And a pro tip about these buses in Kyoto is that they fill up fast. You can see here, this is the line of people getting on at just the second stop, which we would go from a completely empty bus where me and my sister were able to get seats so we can enjoy the hour-long bus ride, because trust me, you do not want to be standing for an hour-long bus ride. It is not fun. So yeah, try to get on at some of the first or maybe the second at the latest stops. That will save your feet a lot of pain. Anyways, back into Shijo, you guessed it, back into Pontecho because it is dinner time again. And like I said, most of the best restaurants are in Pontecho. So today is one of my favorites. It's a Vegtable Izakaya. And basically this izakaya is known to grow their own vegetables right in Kyoto and then use vegetables to base like all of their different foods and dishes around. And it is just absolutely delicious. You can see the vegetables they use like on just sitting out on the counter. They just literally pluck those and start cooking them. Here we have some shiitake mushrooms. This is some arugula, kale, and spinach. This was a cheese dip of some kind. I kind of forget a lot of this. This was my favorite. This was like a pork. Oh, we're moving on. This was my favorite actually. This one was my favorite here. This was so good. These are noodles. They were not my favorite. But my favorite thing was this drink I got. All in all, highly recommend. Honestly, one of my favorite restaurants in all of Japan. And with that, the day is over. Day number 3, the final day, and if the giant red torii behind me wasn't any kind of clue, we are at Fushimi Inari Shrine, which it's more of a mountain hike than a shrine itself. The big attraction is not actually the shrine, which is nice, but not, never seen before. So instead, the main draw is hiking up a mountain and going under the thousands of red torii gates. Yeah, so these are the shrine grounds. As you can see, this is actually properly Fushimi Inari Shrine. It's a shrine. It's your basic shrine. The really cool part is what comes next. Tip, go to the bathroom before you start the climb because there's not that many bathrooms up the climb, except, the natural trees and bushes, but that's not recommended. Look at this cute little map. Look how deceivingly easy it makes it all look. The hike itself takes around 45 or so minutes to make it to the top and then coming back down around the same amount of time. So it actually, for as much as this being a shrine, it's a good little hike and a good little workout for those of you who like hiking. The trick to getting a good picture here is just waiting around and kind of getting lucky. There's always a bunch of people, but sometimes there'll be gaps, and that's when you gotta seize your moment. You gotta be ready at any point. The hike is very scenic too. About halfway up the mountain, well, like a third of the way up the mountain, there's a pond just in the middle of the forest and a lot of little shrines that dot the path as well. Look, we're the only ones, so enjoy this scenic video of me walking uninterrupted. Thought we were almost at the top. We're only halfway. That map is deceiving. About 2/3 of the way to the top is what I consider the best view in all of Kyoto. About to show it to you guys. Here it is. This is my favorite point in the entire hike. There's still a lot of torii gates, but you have just a gorgeous view of the city. Honestly, if you don't go past this point, you've seen the best kind of Fushimi Inari has to offer because spoiler alerts a little bit here. The very tippy top, not super exciting. We're nearing the top, and this is easily my favorite part so far. It's quiet. You can hear the birds chirping. It was sprinkling a little bit, but it stopped. And most of the people were not strong enough to make it at this point, so we have it almost entirely to ourselves. It's so lovely. Also, I changed my opinion about getting good pictures. Come to the top. That's how you get good pictures. Don't do it at the bottom when there's a bunch of people. If you can make it up a little bit, you can get the whole thing almost to yourself. And there's just as many torii gates here than at the bottom. Okay, so we are at the top, the peak. After a bunch of stairs, I'm tired. I would say the peak is the definition of it's about the journey, not the destination. There's not a lot here. You can't really see anything. It's just a little shrine, and there's a bunch of these shrines on the way up. But the journey up and all the torii gates and getting it to yourself is definitely worth making it to the top, probably. The weather was so temperamental on our way back down the mountain. It was rainy one minute and then it was sunny the next. We had to stop because of the rain and then it was hot and sunny. I guess we made the weather gods at the shrine mad or something. I don't know. Weather gods gonna be weather gods. Anyhow, time for lunch, and this is my favorite soba place. It's not saying much because I'm personally not a huge fan of soba, but this is a very well-rated, popular place, and it's pretty close to Fushimi Inari Shrine as well. Soba, for those of you who don't know, is literally just buckwheat noodles, and then you usually pour a light soy saucy type of sauce. I don't know a better way to describe it than that, into the noodles. It's a very popular traditional Kyoto food, definitely worth trying when you're here. A lot of people really, really love it. Anyhow, you can get to and from Fushimi Inari on a train. There's actually a train line that goes straight to it. So after we hiked the mountain, we took the train line back into the main city center, and from there we did some walking which Kyoto is actually not very big of a city at all. The whole thing, you can bike across it in like 45 minutes. So walking is not that bad either. So if you want, you can actually walk in between places to see some really cool back streets that you wouldn't normally get to see from a train or a bus. Okay, so something I always like to do is plan time to relax into my itineraries. And what is a better time to relax than after you hiked a mountain? So this is one of my favorite cafes in Kyoto, Cafe Bibliotic. Hello. So we're just gonna relax, have a glass of wine, but coffee is available too, and just take a bit of time to breathe. So yes, this is one of my favorite cozy cafes. You can hang out and chill here as long as you want. They have a pretty extensive menu of a bunch of food and drink options. There was about a 20-30 minute wait for this cafe because it's pretty popular. I don't know if you've noticed a trend here, but be ready to wait in lines, and keep in mind we went during off season too. So this was all Kyoto kind of at its quietest, the quietest it really gets these days. So if you come during a crowded season, be prepared to be patient and to embrace the Japanese culture that is waiting in a line for literally everything. It is usually worth it though, I will say that. Okay, so after the cafe, we took another short little 15-20 minute walk into Shijo, which I've mentioned several times before. It's the downtown nightlife area, and I think Shijo is really cool and worth walking around because there is a lot of different shopping opportunities that you can partake in there. Okay, so we've come to Shijo, which is the downtown area of Kyoto, for a bit of shopping because this street is filled with different shotengai, which are kind of these alleyways that have a bunch of shops, and there's a bunch of really famous brands here, including Uniqlo, which we're going to go to because my sister wants some Uniqlo, and they're not very popular in America unless you live in New York or LA. So the last stop in our itinerary for the day, shopping. So these shotengais, aka shopping streets or aka arcades sometimes, are a staple of Japan. They're everywhere, scattered throughout pretty much every city. I think they're really neat. They're like half inside, half outside shopping hallways. They're just a lot of fun. This was a really cool candy fruit shop we found, and we just stumbled upon it randomly. We stopped for a snack. We saw this really cool looking store that has like gel fruit. Well, it's not really gel, it's like a hard candy coating on top. Behold, downtown Kyoto in Shijo. This is as urban as it gets, which, you know, it's not exactly on Tokyo's level, but it's charming in its own way for sure. Uniqlo was the main store we wanted to visit here, as they're not really common in America very often, and they have some great, really simple, really easy to wear clothes. Uniqlo has really good, like, simple but clean and nice fashion. I like them for like lounging around the house, so I'm gonna try these sweatpants on and probably get them. Something Uniqlo is really famous for too is their heat tech, which here it is. It's kind of what the name implies. It's just an underlayer of clothing that is designed to keep the heat in. I don't know how it does this differently from like a regular undershirt, because that's just kind of what it feels like, but people in Japan swear by it, and most people wear it throughout the entire winter seasons. Oh, look at my sister folding the clothes so nicely because she got mad at me because I just threw them all in the bag at checkout because I was fumbling with money. Anyways, thanks, Kels. The other store I recommend, which is right above Uniqlo, is Loft. This is just like a novelty hobby, jack of all trades. There's a whole bunch of different stuff store. Basically, when someone has a birthday, this is the shop I go to, and I just walk around until I see something that I think the person would like. And it's always just the most random fun things. A really fun shop. A lot of fun souvenirs can be had here. Okay, that was my trip to Kyoto. I hope you enjoyed. We have to catch a Shinkansen back to Tokyo now, but if you have time, I highly recommend having dinner down in Pantacho if you haven't already. Dinner last night was in Pantacho. It's a beautiful area. Definitely check it out. One of your nights out as well. But until then, we'll see you next time, guys. Jane!